Only oregano would be regular. Fish.
I'm sorry, what? Run that by me one more
I
time.
don't know. That's a direct quote. It's the very first thing you read, the hook, if you can even call it that, of the book we are tackling today.
Okay. Wow.
And I have to be honest with you, compared to what happens later, that sentence is a beacon of clarity.
I had a feeling this was going to be a strange one. Usually we're diving into, economic trends or historical biographies. This feels different.
Oh, we are far off the map today. We are swimming through the vacuum of space with friction cream on our faces. Today, we're attempting to unpack the absolute fever dream that is the 2025 novel Muplion, Purtigop, Flopincob, a novel of nonsense by Nigel T. Fick.
A novel of nonsense is definitely the key phrase there. I've gone through the text, and it's a fascinating, if, well, exhausting experience. It's this unique slurry of science fiction, slapstick, and what we technically call bizarro fiction.
Bizarro fiction, is that an actual term?
It is, yeah. It's a literary genre that prides itself on absurdity. It's where the weird isn't just a plot point, it's the entire atmosphere. In this book, the fourth wall isn't just broken.
It's pulverized.
Pulverized, eaten, and then turned into a bridge. It challenges you, the reader, to just stop looking for traditional logic and instead accept, well, dream logic.
And that is exactly what we are here to do. Our mission on this deep dive is to try and decode that chaos. We have spies, aliens, robots, a protagonist obsessed with watermelon.
And an author who literally gets bullied by his own characters. It's a case study in what I like to call narrative whiplash. The book trains you to expect one thing and then just violently pivots to something else.
It keeps you completely disoriented. So let's start at the beginning, or what passes for a beginning in this universe. We have a setup that feels, at first, kind of like a standard spy thriller. We got James Orion.
Right. Orion is our anchor. He's the straight man, in comedy terms. Red hair, blue eyes, hired for $250,000 a year. He walks into a room thinking he's there for a standard job interview.
He thinks he's a bluffer. That's his skill. But his first test is just surviving a conversation with the other main character, Gerald Warden. Now, Gerald is...
How do we even describe Gerald?
Gerald is the agent of chaos.
Yeah.
Physically, he's distinct, short, bald, but with a beard that touches the ground when he stands.
Okay.
But, and this is important, when he sits, he tucks it behind his ears.
Wait, that defies physics immediately. If it touches the ground standing, it should be like piling up on the floor when he sits.
Exactly. The physics of his hair already tell you that standard rules just don't apply. And he has this linguistic obsession. He calls people watermelons.
That's his term for idiots.
It is. But it's not just an insult. It's his whole worldview. If you don't get his nonsense, you're a watermelon. Their first meeting sets the tone perfectly. Orion walks in expecting a mission brief, and Gerald just starts speaking absolute gibberish.
Droth, Berg, Daga, Ford it, something like that.
Exactly. And Orion, being the bluffer, just nods along. He's trying to keep his cover in a situation that has no cover. He has to. But then Gerald pivots to a history lesson. And this is where the world building gets interesting. He starts talking about carnivorous donuts.
Carnivorous donuts.
As in the pastry eating the person.
Yes. Gerald claims that 1,000 years ago, not 1,000, but 1,000 donuts used to eat police officers.
So it's an inversion of the whole cop and donut trope.
Precisely. And he delivers it with total conviction. And this is a key insight into this book. In this world, metaphors can become literal history. It just destroys the boundary between figurative language and reality.
So Orion bluffs his way through this, and then we get to the actual tests. The military puts him through trials that seem designed to break his brain.
The first one is a test of sanity, maybe. He sits in the dark for what he thinks is 3 hours. He's overanalyzing everything, applying spy logic to pure nonsense.
But the sergeant tells him it was a 10-minute test. Time is fluid here.
It creates paranoia. But the real chaos, and I think the scene that really defines the book's logic, is the kitchen test.
The kitchen test. This is my favorite part. Gerald is tasked with fixing a vacuum cleaner.
A standard task. His method, however, is unorthodox. He beats it with a sledgehammer, then a plunger.
Of course.
And when that doesn't work, shocker, he decides to make soup.
Naturally. But not with, carrots and onions.
No. He puts the vacuum pieces in the pot. Then he rips a painting off the wall, runs laps around the kitchen with it in his teeth.
Which is just a great visual.
And chops it up. And here is where the physics of the book really show themselves. He asks for a chainsaw. Orion doesn't have one, so Gerald opens a microwave.
A standard, 1 foot wide microwave.
And pulls out a 3-foot chainsaw.
That detail, That's the key, isn't it?
It signals to you, the reader, that spatial geometry does not apply. It's cartoon physics, like Looney Tunes. Gerald's reality just overrides the normal world Orion comes from.
And the wildest part is they eat the soup.
They do. Orion says it tastes like earwax and brant hair, but admits it clears his sinuses. By eating that soup, Orion is accepting the madness. He's crossed the threshold.
So having survived the soup, they move deeper into the facility. This is where the sci-fi elements really kick in. It's divided into danger zones.
And we meet the supporting cast. There's Katie XP 2047,
The robot.
a very lifelike and surprisingly snarky robot. And we meet the alien scientists, the Chorzon, specifically Chosro,
Chosro is a giant ant in a lab coat.
who refers to everyone, himself included, as they, them. And he laughs so hard his head falls off.
Literally falls off.
Detaches. He just puts it back on. Again, body horror played for laughs. But look at the tech they introduce. The ACRWI, Alien Communication Radio Wave Interpreter, and the IMT, the Ionic Matter Transporter.
Which the sergeant claims Star Trek stole from them.
A nice little jab. But the IMT is the catalyst. They accidentally beam in a hostile alien force, the Gorgonzolites.
Ugly green men on winged beasts. Standard
Yeah.
stuff. But this leads to the moment where the book just completely goes off the rails. The aliens attack, and Katie the robot explodes. She dies.
Now, in a normal story, this would be the all is lost moment, but Gerald refuses to accept the narrative.
He doesn't just refuse it. He literally leaves the story.
This is a crucial literary device called metalepsis, where the boundary between the author's world and the character's world is breached. Gerald jumps out of the pages. He enters the author's bedroom.
I had to reread that part 3 times. He physically confronts Nigel T. Fick, the actual author, at his desk.
He does. Shoves him out of his chair, grabs a pencil, and rewrites the scene himself. This is maybe the most important moment in the book because it destroys the authority of the writer.
That is just next level meta. So he just writes that Katie is indestructible.
Indestructible, and that she kisses him. The author is just standing there, watching his plot get hijacked.
So the author isn't a god in this universe.
Nope. It suggests that once a character is created, they have agency, sometimes more than their creator.
So with the robot saved by editorial bullying, they decide to go to the alien planet, Chortzo. Because why not?
And if you thought Earth was weird, Chortzo is a surrealist painting come to life. Purple sky, green clouds.
And the local wildlife plays poker.
The poker scene. Classic non sequitur humor. They are hiding from a lion, expecting to be eaten. Instead,
They end up playing Texas. Hold'em with the lion.
look, the lion. But look at the stakes. They aren't betting chips. They're betting 2 snails and a nickel or an alligator's toenail. It just deconstructs the whole concept of value.
And the lion wins.
With a royal straight flush, of course. The absurdity is the whole point.
But the planet doesn't last long.
Yeah.
We go from poker to planetary destruction in like 2 pages.
Well, another instance of cartoon physics, Katie tries to get a character's attention by screaming into his ear.
At 2.3 billion decibels. Now, I'm no physicist, but
Well, scientifically, 1,100 decibels would create a black hole. So 2.3 billion is.
yeah. In the book, it creates a sound wave so intense it crumbles the entire planet.
Just poof, planet gone.
Gone. They're left floating in space. Which brings up the question, how do they get home?
So naturally, they decide to swim.
Swim through the vacuum of space
Yeah.
for 238,855 miles.
But wait, they apply friction cream first so they don't burn up on re-entry. See? That blend of logic and illogic. They acknowledge a real scientific problem re-entry heat, but solve it with friction cream and the breaststroke.
And while they are swimming, which is just an insane visual, we meet Cowboy,
Ah, Cowboy. Who is a meteorite?
a giant talking meteorite with a Spanish accent and serious pride issues.
And they catch him by fishing in space. With cheese.
And he just bites the hook and drags him back to Earth. He's such a diva, just yelling things like, eat a block of salt.
He is. He crash lands them in the Sahara Desert. Which brings us to another massive tonal shift. We go from space opera to desert survival.
And the introduction of the villain, bad guy,
Whose name is technically Norman Rockwell.
like the painter.
Yep, but here he's a mercenary headhunter who argues with his own thumb.
His thumb.
It's this whole psychological split. His thumb tells him he can't grip his gun without it, and bad guy screams, "I'm right-handed, you idiot." It's just a very specific kind of madness.
He's hunting our group, but they're distracted because they're making sandwiches.
Which sandwiches?
Oh, walk me through this pun because it's something else.
It's a linguistic gag made physical. Raptor hears the word witch, W-H-I-C-H, spoken in the air. He reaches out, grabs the word, slams it into the sand.
And it becomes a sandwich.
Yeah.
Ham and cheese.
It suggests language in this world has mass. Words are objects. But this is when the meta-commentary returns.
Right, because they get separated chasing a donkey named Donkey.
And Orion turns to the author, who is now, I guess, a character with them, and asks where everyone went. And the author just shrugs and says, I wrote it that way.
It breaks the immersion again. The characters know they're at the mercy of the plot.
But the plot moves so fast, they don't have time for an existential crisis. 1 minute, Sahara. The next, they land on an ice continent. Chapter P, Land of Frost.
Where Gerald builds a 3-story, fully heated igloo mansion in 30 minutes.
Of course.
And we meet Junior, a penguin who calls Gerald Daddy.
At this point, you just have to stop asking why.
I stopped asking why back at Carnivorous Doughnuts.
That's the only way to survive it. They're on ice, bad guy shows up, now turning into a werewolf, because why not add horror to the mix? So Gerald builds a rocket.
Instantly. They crash in Paris. And this leads to what is, I think, the climax of the book's absurdity, the Eiffel Tower incident.
Gerald decides to eat the Eiffel Tower.
Just starts chewing on it.
He starts on the legs, but the Eiffel Tower fights back.
Of course it does.
It sprouts arms and legs and a sword. It actually kicks Gerald to the moon.
To the moon.
Through the moon, actually. Leaves a Gerald-shaped hole, but he comes back wearing
Watermelon armor.
a full suit of watermelon armor. He defeats the tower, splits it in half, and then eats his own armor.
It's a zero-waste battle.
And the author steps in again here. The crash should have killed them. But the text explicitly says, I decided to prevent their deaths. And he welcomes the reader, you and me, as the final member of the group.
We're now Muplions. Okay, so the tower is defeated, but bad guy is still around, now as a 30-foot werewolf.
Who sneezes out a pack of 15 rabid wolves.
Of course. And the group runs to the English Channel.
Where Gerald sneezes a bridge into existence.
Is there a theme here with bodily functions creating infrastructure?
I think the theme is that the body is a tool of creation. Snot becomes a bridge. Words become sandwiches. It's gross, but it's consistent.
So the chase gets airborne. Bad guy captures them in a sleigh, pulled by rabid wolves, and flies them to the North Pole.
Because magnetism, I guess. But Cowboy the Meteor returns.
The hero we didn't know we needed. Cowboy freezes the wolves. They hitch a ride on him back to the military base. Full circle. But there's one last twist. Bad guy is tearing down the door to the bunker. He's huge. He's angry. It looks like the end. And who saves the day?
Wedge.
The chipmunk.
A small chipmunk that Gerald had been bullying. Gerald throws Wedge out the door, and Wedge eats the 30-foot werewolf in a single bite.
One bite.
The end. It ends with the small eating the large, and then with the lyrics to Gerald's song, Nutty Like a Watermelon.
Which is about eating planets and using your nose as a bookmark.
A fitting anthem.
So, we have just recapped a story that defies every law of physics and narrative structure. But is there a point?
Yeah.
A takeaway from all this?
I think a takeaway is the experience of the chaos itself. It's a workout for your brain's flexibility. We spend so much time looking for patterns and logic. A book like this deliberately breaks those circuits.
It's like the book is actively fighting you as you try to make sense of it.
Exactly. And the meta stuff, with the author and characters arguing, suggests that storytelling is messy. It's not a polished product. It's a fight between the writer and the imagination.
And in this case, the imagination won. It beat the writer up and stole his pencil.
Pretty much. It's a reminder that fiction doesn't have to be serious. It doesn't have to obey the laws of thermodynamics. It can just be about a man swimming through space. It forces you to laugh at the absurdity of trying to find meaning in everything.
And we know this isn't the end. There's a sequel tease.
Muplion, Purtigop, Flopincob 2, Purple Trees. The chaos continues.
I don't know if I have the scamata. My brain feels like it's been put in a microwave with a chainsaw.
It's exhausting, but in a fun way. Like a roller coaster that flies into the sun.
Well, I think that's all the time we have for this deep dive into the absolute madness of Nigel T. Fick's world.
It has certainly been a trip.
So I want to leave you, the listener, our fellow Muplion, with a question. This book blurs the line between creator and creation. If you could step into a book and argue with the author like Gerald did, would you fix the plot holes to make it better, or would you just cause more chaos?
That is a dangerous question. I feel like most of us would want to fix the plot, but Gerald proves that chaos is probably more fun.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next deep dive.
Unless a meteor takes us to the Sahara. Goodbye.